trust me, I mean all in. And what you learn is that the priorities in social studies and history, the lack of rigor, the lack of respect for our heritage is deep. It runs deep. It's not just here, it's across the country. And then wait till you go to college, my friend. I mean, it's over then. You better be wearing your Kevlar as a conservative there, because you'll have speech restrictions. You're going to be told that your beliefs are not allowed to be spoken. I mean, this is the world we're moving towards, and we need to challenge it across the board. Whenever you see these kinds of things, and I admire the fact that you would stand up for your own country, at your high school. That's the right thing to do. But we need high standards with rigorous content to make sure that more than a third of our kids are college and/or career ready. That's where we are. We spend more per student than any country in the world, most of which is local and state funded. Federal government pays a tiny part of this. And other than 2 or 3, like Belgium, I think, and a couple other rounding errors in terms of their size, we spend that much money, more than any other place, and about a third of our kids are truly college and/or career ready, which means they can actually go to college and start taking college level work. Now, we're either going to dumb down college so that we match it, or we're going to raise our expectations for our high school kids. And here's what I know to be true. Children aren't stupid. They're not dumb. But if we dumb down everything, they'll achieve what we expect of them. And so we need to not just deal with the politically correct side of this, but we need to bring rigor back in math and English and science and history. It needs to be significantly higher. And in Florida, we did that. We put pressure on the system. We eliminated tenure for new teachers. We had the most ambitious school choice program. That's where my other mark came in, by the way. I'll tell you a quick story. This relates to 3rd grade. If you don't start reading in 4th grade, if you don't know how to read by 4th grade, basically the gig's up, unless some miracle happens. Because in 4th grade is when students start reading to learn, rather than up till then learning to read. So if you're functionally illiterate by the end of 3rd grade, there should be a warranty where your parent could call, hey, I want my money back here. I'm a taxpayer. I paid 4 years, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, and my kid is functionally illiterate. That's not how it works. The way it works now is you blame the family. You blame the life circumstance of the kid. And we pass the kid on. We socially promote the kid. Who's fooling who? How do we expect to deal with the great divide in our country if children can't read by the 4th grade? So in Florida, we eliminated social promotion in 3rd grade. We were the first state to do this. And 33% of the kids in 3rd grade, had there been no change, a third would have been held back. It was my re-election year. I mean, it was kind of a gutsy thing to do, to be honest with you. We cut that in half. We still had 15% of all 3rd graders held back. But we have to start changing things and have the courage to say that this is important, that this kid has value, this kid matters. A kid of color matters, a kid in poverty matters, a Hispanic kid matters. These children matter because they're either going to be productive citizens, where they're going to be part of the American dream and allow all of us to be successful as well, or they're going to be a huge drain. You pick which one you want. So I'm standing my ground as it relates to high standards, real accountability, school choice, and I see what happens when you don't have it. It happens like Ferguson in Baltimore, where kids have no hope and no belief in the system all around them. And I see what happens when you challenge it the other way, where kids like Denisha Merriweather, a girl that was held back 2 years in 3rd grade, held back twice, was the first kid that got to go to a private school because of the corporate tech scholarship program I set up at a lower price, lower cost than the public school. But she got a quality education. She was the first in her family, immediate family, to graduate from high school, and the first in her family to graduate from college. Which America do you want? I want that one.
Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Chris Chambers and Francine. This is my husband, Roger. We're from the very great state of New York, and I'm a school administrator. So I thank you for your comments here tonight about tenure reform, about education, and about mental health services. I've been doing this for 38 years, so I know exactly where you're coming from, and I appreciate your comments. The past 7 years, for my husband and I, our conservative Republicans, have been very long 7 years, watching all the things that have been happening in this country. And you've hit on many of them this evening. When you look at the economy, where we stand in terms of foreign policy, and the most recent deal that has come forward with Iran. We look at the atrocities happening with Planned Parenthood and abortion, immigration, the list goes on. And you mentioned many of the things tonight. Last night in the debate, several of the folks got asked what are their priorities on the first day in office. As President of the United States, what will be your top priorities in that first day in office?
Great question. I wish I was the debate was kind of crazy because they didn't. So there were some really good questions I would have loved to have answered, and there were some questions I would prefer not to. It would seem like an equal opportunity place in that regard. In any case, the first thing that we have to do, the first immediate thing that a president needs to do is rebuild a culture of solutions-oriented culture. I mean, that's the first, and that should happen, that has to start before inauguration. You have to begin to make it possible to have people that don't agree to be able to have a dialogue, to build trust, to get things done. And this president got elected the last time on that very point. He didn't get elected by saying, vote for me, I'm going to be the most divisive, left-wing president in American history. He didn't get elected that way. He got elected, as you recall, by saying there are no blue states, there are no red states, there's only the United States. Soaring eloquence about bringing us together. And he did the exact opposite. He jammed down the throats of Obamacare and the stimulus and Dodd-Frank, his three major accomplishments. And on foreign policy, we've now lost the bipartisan consensus that used to be the norm on foreign policy. And this has to change. This country will not function unless we rebuild the traditional way of solving problems. So that's the long-term strategy. As it relates to the personal, particular things, I'll give you a few. Appoint men and women immediately, as fast as you can. So having thought about this long before January, that have subject matter expertise on a wide array of subjects that really have a huge impact on our lives, most particularly on the regulatory side. Basically, the Obama administration is full of political hacks and academics. They have a very hard-edged political agenda rather than looking at it from a broader perspective of how do you create rules to protect the public good without destroying the economic benefits that are so essential for our long-term success. So that is hugely important, to have men and women of talent that are not as political. I mean, right now the White House calls all the shots. Basically, they call up their buds inside of these departments and say, do what you're told. We need to get back to the business of actually governing effectively and competently. Secondly, the President of the United States has the opportunity to sign executive orders. Ted Cruz brought this up, and I think he made a really good point. There are many things that this president has done by executive order that can be done by the exact same way. That's part of the prerogative of being president, and I would do just that. Some of these will be ruled unconstitutional by the time the next president gets there, but there's a lot of things that can be done there. Thirdly, we need to re-engage with the rest of the world, where we rebuild trust there too. I mean, it's hard to imagine. I'll rephrase it. Name a country in the world where the president, where our relationship is better today than the day that Barack Obama got elected. Cuba, well done. Cuba, nothing in return, not a single thing in return. People are being imprisoned. Nothing changes. The despots still, they're not going quietly in the night. I mean, granted, we legitimize the Castro regime with diplomatic relations. And what's the other country? Iran. Name the countries in the world where our relationship is worse. We don't have enough time. But so the challenge for the next president, I think, is to restore the relationships that keep the world safe. starting with Canada, for crying out loud. How could you really rupture a relationship with Canada, our largest trading partner, a country, don't tell them this, they'll get really upset, that is really similar to us. They don't like to hear that. I mean, we're close neighbors in every way, and yet we have bad relations now. Israel, a huge linchpin as it relates to our security and certainly theirs. There are many other countries as well, and that is uniquely the responsibility of the president. And then on policy, working with Congress, I would say the lowest hanging fruit relates to an energy policy. We should be exporting oil. We should be expanding natural gas production. There's a way to create a comprehensive strategy with an aspirational goal of energy security with North American resources in short order.